Let's see how the destruction came upon Yasharah through Shalumah, the son of Dawood, King Dawood. 1 Kings chapter 11 verse 1 to 13. He said, now King Shalumah loved many foreign women besides Pharaoh's daughter, Pharaoh the king of Mizraim, which they translate to Egypt. He said, now Shalumah loved many foreign women besides Pharaoh's daughter. He married women from Moab, Ammon, Adon, Sidon, and from among the Hittites. Verse 2. Say, for YAHUAH had clearly instructed the people of Yasharah, you must not marry them, because they will turn your heart to their nations. That they said, you must not marry them, because they will turn your heart to their nations' pagan idols. Yet Shalumah insisted on loving them anyway. Shalumah, which is Shalumah, he had 700 wives of royal birth and 300 concubines. Now Shalumah have 700 wives of royal birth and 300 concubines. And in fact, they did turn his heart away from YAHUAH. He said, and in fact, they did turn his heart, Shalumah's heart, away from YAHUAH. Verse 4. He said, in Shalumah's old age, they turned his heart to worship their nation's idols instead of being completely faithful to YAHUAH his Yahuwah, as his father Dawood had been. Verse 5. He says, Shalumah worshipped Ashtaroth, the female idol of the Sidonia, and Molech, the detestable idol of the Ammonites. Verse 6. He said, in this way Shalumah did what was evil in YAHUAH's sight. He refused to follow YAHUAH completely, as his father Dawood had done. Verse 7. He said, on the Mount of Olives east of Yahushalam, Shalumah even built a pagan shrine for Shamush, the detestable idol of Moab. He built a pagan shrine for Shamush, is the detestable idol of Moab, and another for Molech, the detestable idol of the Ammonites. Verse 8. He says, Shalumah built such shrine for all his foreign wives to use for their burning incense and sacrificing to their idols. Verse 9. Then YAHUAH was very angry with Shalumah, for Shalumah's heart had turned away from YAHUAH, the Yahuwah of Yasharah, who had appeared to him twice. YAHUAH has appeared to him twice. He has shown himself to even this Shalumah that saw his father worshiping YAHUAH constantly, his father King Dawood worshiping YAHUAH constantly. And even when Dawood has finished his own part in this Arat, and when Shalumah came into the system as the king of Yasharah, YAHUAH has appeared to him twice, the same person. So then YAHUAH was very angry. Then YAHUAH was very angry with Shalumah, for his heart has turned away from YAHUAH, the Yahuwah of Yasharah, who had appeared to him twice. Verse 10. He said he had warned Shalumah specifically about worshiping other nations' idols, other nation pagan idols. But Shalumah did not listen to YAHUAH's command. Verse 11. So YAHUAH so now YAHUAH dabba to Shalumah. Since you have not kept my covenant and have disobeyed my decrees, I will surely tear the kingdom away from you and give it to one of your servants. Say, but for the sake of your father Dawood, for the sake of the love that I love your father Dawood, I will not do this while you are still alive. I will take the kingdom away from your son. He said, and even so, I will not take away the entire kingdom. I will let him be king of the tribe I will let him be king of one tribe for the sake of my servant. Can YAHUAH call you his servant? You must live your life so that YAHUAH will call you his servant in this Arat. That's what YAHUAH wants. You must live your life so that Yahuwah will call you my servant. Yahuwah will call you his servant in this arat. He said, and even so, I will not take away the entire kingdom. I will let your son, which is him, be the king of one tribe, for the sake of my servant Dawood. For the sake of my servant Dawood, and for the sake of Yahushalam, my chosen city. Toda Rabba Yahuwah. I live my life to be a serving child of Yahuwah, to be serving Yahuwah with all my soul, with my heart. That's what I live my life for now. I will serve Yahuwah with all my soul, with my heart and my mind. Nothing can distract me in this arat. My service to Yahuwah with my whole being, my blood, my liver, everything, all my full system, my full everything is for the service of Yahuwah Ma'alua. Nothing else. Now let's see how Yahuwah now took the kingdom from his son. 1 Kings chapter 12, verse 18 to 32. He said, King Rehoboam sent, verse 18 said, King Rehoboam is now the son of Shalumah. The son of Shalumah has not taken over. He said, and King Rehoboam sent Adonirah, who was in charge of forced labor, to restore order. But the people of Yasharah stoned him to death. King Rehoboam sent somebody to go and take his tax collection and the rest, to collect tax and in the other tribe of Yasharah. He said, but the people of Yasharah stoned him to death. King Rehoboam sent Adoniram, who was in charge of forced labor, to restore order. But the people of Yasharah stoned him to death. When this news reached King Rehoboam, he quickly jumped into his chariot and fled to Yahushalam. He said, and to this day, the northern tribe of Yasharah have refused to be ruled by the descendant of Dawood. Who caused this splitting in the Yasharah today is King Shalumah. King Shalumah that Yahuwah has appeared to twice is the one that caused this split in Yasharah. Verse 20. He said, when the people of Yasharah learned about Yahuwah is one of the slaves of King Shalumah that was in exile in Mizraim. Mizraim, what they translate to Egypt. He was in exile in Mizraim. He said, when the people of Yasharah learned of Yahuwah's return from Mizraim, they called an assembly and made him king over Yasharah. So only the tribe of Yehudah remain loyal to the family of Dawood. Verse 21. So when Rehoboam arrived at Yahushalam, he mobilized the men. When Rehoboam arrived, this is King Shalumah's son. When he arrived at Yahushalam, he mobilized the men of Yehudah and the tribe of Benjamin, 180,000 selected troops, to fight against the men of Yasharah and restore the kingdom to himself. He said, but Yahuwah daba to Shemaiah. Shemaiah is one of the Nabim. Nabim is what they translate to prophet. He said, then Yahuwah daba to Shemaiah, the servant of Yahuwah. He said, say to Rehoboam, son of Shalumah, king of Yehudah, and to all the people of Yehudah, and Benjamin. Benjamin is what they translate to Benjamin. And Benjamin, and to the rest of the people. This is what Yahuwah daba. Do not fight against your relative, the Yasharalim. Go back home. Yahuwah now send message. Do not go and fight against the other kingdom, the splitting, which is now Yaroboam and Rehoboam. Yaroboam is now in charge of the other 10 tribe. Then Yaroboam, this is Rehoboam now, the son of Shalumah, is now in charge of Yehudah and Benjamin. See, this is what Yahuwah daba. Do not fight against your relative, the Yasharalim. Go back home, for what has happened is my doing. Yahuwah says is his doing. So they obeyed the message of Yahuwah and went home as Yahuwah commanded. Verse 25. So Yaroboam then built up the city of Shasham in the hill country of Ephraim, and it became his capital. Later he went and built up the town of Paniel. Verse 26. So Yaroboam thought to himself, unless I am careful, the kingdom will return to the dynasty of Dawood. Now he's not afraid that because of the kingdom, the worship center is in Yahushalam, where Yahuwah has programmed Shalumah to build, which is the kingdom in Yahushalam. So now what am I going to do for people not to go worship Yahuwah in Yahushalam? Now this new king now that has entered the other part of Yashara is now planning. Let's see what his plan got to. He said, Yahuwah thought to himself, unless I am careful, the kingdom will return to the dynasty of Dawood. He said, when these people go to Yahushalam to offer sacrifice at the temple of Yahuwah, they will again give their allegiance to the king, they will again give their allegiance to King Rehoboam of Yehuda. So they will give their allegiance to King Rehoboam of Yehuda. Now it's two kings. One king is in Yehuda, which is the dynasty of Dawood. Then the other king, that which is the one in Yashara, is now afraid that the people will go to the temple of Yahuwah, they will not give their allegiance to Yeroboam, the son of Dawood, because Yahushalam is in Yehuda. So that was it. So he says, so on the advice of his counselor. Now somebody is not his counselor.